Welcome to the first lesson in the DrRcraft JavaScript course, where you'll learn about the console.log function in JavaScript and the DrRcraft code editor workspace. So what is the DrRcraft code editor? Well, it is an online IDE where you can save and run your code effortlessly. We're going to be using it to run some JavaScript, so we'll click Create up here, select JavaScript from the Select Language drop-down menu, and give it a name, and click Create. And now this will take you to the workspace, where there are some key features we need to talk about. So this pane on the left is our coding window. This is where we're actually going to type. And this here is the web view, which we aren't actually going to use for this lesson. What we will use, though, is the logs tab, where all the console output will go. There are also tools on this right-hand sidebar here, some of which we will be using. Share is where you can copy the link to your program or download it as a file. Save is to save your program here in the Programs page. History is where you can see all the edits that you've made to your program and go back to a previous version of it. And Database, which we will be using later, lets us use the database built in directly to every JavaScript program. So we need to learn how to print a message to the console. Since this is the first thing we need to be able to do, this is pretty much the most important lesson you'll ever learn in programming. Let's get started by first deleting all the existing code that was in this window, and then typing in console.log, and then put a left parentheses in, and some quotes in, and then type in whatever you want. I'll just say, hello world, and then a semicolon after it. And if we run it, you can see this message is being displayed to the console, which is pretty cool. And so if we wanted to add more text, well, we could just put more of these lines in. And the lines show up. Just note that for every console.log statement, there's a new line being added to each message. And if you want to have multiple lines in one console.log statement, or you just want your console.log statement to preserve your indentation, then use backticks instead of quotes, and then type your message in. This message can contain new line characters. And you can see it appears exactly how it was written in the code. Now it seems like console.log has been smooth sailing so far, but here are some common errors you can get on your first day. And so this here has an error. When there is an error or two, though, the editor does try to help you. In this example, there is a yellow underline under console, and it says console is not defined. When we run it, we get a similar error. And so you might be thinking, wait, I thought we were learning about console.log here. This is the very thing we are learning about. What could be wrong with this? Well, it is console.log, but the console has a lowercase c. And that's the issue here. Capitalization is important when we are coding. JavaScript is a case-sensitive language, and so are other languages that you might learn in the future. And so now when we run this code, you can see it works perfectly. And so what other errors could you have? This might look fine, but when we run it, it says syntax error unexpected string. And this arrow right here, when we hover over it, says a similar thing. So what is wrong here? The error is actually missing parentheses. Console.log is a function, and to call functions, you need parentheses. And in the parentheses, you need this string. And so when we run it, it works just fine. So let's say you've given up at this point. You're at your lowest level, and you just want the computer to print out this message. When we run it, it says missing closing parentheses after argument list. Here it says unexpected token. Have a think about what this error could be for a second. If you said the error was missing quotes, then you would be correct. We want to tell the computer to print out text to the screen, and the quotes is the text part. If we don't do that, then we're pretty much telling the computer to print out a non-existent thing. It works now. And it seems like this code right here is broken. Why don't you put this in your coding window and try to debug it? And now, I cannot let you go without some kind of challenge for today. So, your challenge is to really show to the world that you want to take this course. Your code should print out something like this, ideally only using one console.log statement. Of course, you have to replace your name here with your first name in real life and the date here with today's date. Once you're done, make sure to share it. You can do this by clicking on the share tool and copying the link and sharing it with your friends and family or on social media. Nice job! You made it through lesson 1 of this JavaScript course. I'll see you next lesson where we learn to take some input from our users.